23 classes have impacted teams. And especially when you consider the top two classes in the country by far and away were Alabama and Georgia in the 2023 cycles. But when you go back and look at especially the two classes, the impact players have Alabama's had a couple of freshmen in Caden Proctor at left tackle, and certainly Caleb Downs with 2 interceptions already at safety that have made big impacts as first-year guys. But it's mostly been the transfer portal where you've seen both of them have impactful guys. Certainly he hasn't been as explosive as the thought, but as far as in the slot for Georgia, Dominic Lovett's done a nice job coming over from Missouri. Ra Thomas, after he got through his legal issues from Mississippi State, he's been on the field quite a bit for them as well. And also when you think about it, they also added a kid in Smoke Bowie, but he never. Here's the thing. That's the thing about the portal giveth and the portal taketh away. Bowie never ended up making an impact. He came over from Texas A&M. He got dismissed around the time of SEC Media Days. So you never know with these portal guys because Auburn has done the same thing. They went portal heavy. They haven't had the impact with some of the offensive personnel they brought in, especially the wide receivers, because we had Brian Matthews on this week on Tuesday's show, and like he said, he told us, he said, look, I don't like their chances against LSU. The portal guys, as far as that they brought in on the outside, haven't had the impact they hoped. Peyton Thorne has been okay at quarterback, not great, and I think a lot of that has to do with the supporting cast. But I think also Auburn did upgrade their offensive line, though. I think their offensive line has played better than people think. Their running game's pretty solid, but again, it's just one of those things where at quarterback and at wide receiver, Auburn's probably still lacking a little bit, though I think they've still got a shot to compete with LSU due to LSU. That's another squad that is very, very talented, but had some misses in the portal on defense, and they're struggling in the back end. But again, I think overall, when you look at it, you still have impact from freshmen, true freshmen, but the best programs in the country, it's still mostly going to be your vets, the guys that stay in. And for Alabama, I was just looking at it. I mentioned Downs and Proctor. They were both 5 stars. They certainly have started early in their careers, but the majority of that class from a high school perspective, and there's a bunch of studs, they are not playing. They're either redshirting or playing special teams parts. Really, where Alabama's had the impact is in portal. Trey Amos, he played a lot of corner this past Saturday because of the injury to Malachi Moore, and it moved Terrion Arnold inside to the star spot. C.J. Dupree at tight end. He's from Maryland. He has not caught a ton of passes, but he has been in there as kind of their 3-down tight end and their guy that's the traditional tight end. He's played a bunch, no question about that. And then, of course, Jalen Key, the transfer from UAB, he has earned a starting role back there at safety. And then, as we know, they also Alabama, they were able to add Malik Benson from the junior college ranks. He's playing, but he's not catching a ton of balls, but he's earned a starting spot. So it's interesting to see, though, that the transfer portal in many, many ways is becoming more impactful than the high school kids. And that's why we've seen that effect in recruiting. When you talk to coaches around the area and you talk about local talent, we have a lot of local talent around here. You broadcast a lot of it. Sparkman's got a very talented team with Josh Ward, Amari Jabbar. They've got some very talented players, but those guys aren't being heavily recruited, and they're kind of been put down the totem pole, unfortunately, because of the transfer portal and all these. They're going to get their opportunities, but they may not be recruited by as many higher-level schools or Division I schools because of the transfer portal and kind of what it's done. Because the portal is, it's become a huge factor, and in some ways it's good, but in some ways for the high school kid, and that's who I feel bad for, the high school kid, it's not so. It's kind of pushed them to the back burner a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely has. But, we still find a lot of success coming out of the transfer portal, obviously, with the top few recruits. They're going to be coming in time. A lot of them are those quarterbacks, Arch Manning. We got Nico Imaleva. And then on top of that, you look down the line, Keon Keeley for Alabama. He hasn't played
down the line. He and Yanze Pierre,
yeah,
they're both red-shirting, basically. Keon's been on special teams a little bit. But you got to remember the 4-game rule. You can redshirt after 4 games. Both of those guys, I think, are going to have bright futures because the two edges for Alabama, like Dallas Turner's a junior, but he's having a huge year. Going to probably be a first-round pick. Definitely will be his money year and gone. Braswell's a rare 5-star who waited. This is a dude that played but never started fully until this year. He's a senior. He'll be moving on to the NFL. So there will be time for the Quay Rousseaus, the Keon Keeleys, the Onze Pierres. All three of those guys were 5-star edges. There's also a guy named Keanu Coote, who's a sophomore for Alabama that could have a bright future as well. Now, Quandarius Robinson, with this COVID stuff, I don't know. He stuck around. He is considered a senior, but I think he may, like Malachi Moore, have a COVID year. We'll have to see what happens there, but that's going to be interesting. And I want to also say, don't forget another key transfer for Alabama. Coach Saban's been bragging on him. He was another portal guy, and he did the rare thing of going from one national championship program to the other, and that's Tresman Marshall. He went from Georgia to Alabama. He's added like an old man kind of feel to the inside linebacker room, an older guy, and he's been productive, and he's been good. It's been good to have him because Alabama, as you know, Deontay Lawson has been out of the lineup some with injury, so it's always good to have a guy that's older, that's kind of an old hand. That the schemes at Alabama and Georgia, as you would know, with all the connections there, are very similar, and so he kind of had a seamless transition.
Yeah, and it's good to add a little bit of that veteran feel to a roster that's kind of full of just younger kids. It's one of the youngest rosters in all of college football with Alabama. But I mean, you still do find some success right out of the gate when it comes to recruiting. I mean, we see Dante Moore over at UCLA. He's already finding success. So I mean, why wouldn't they be able to find a quarterback, and instead they go with their freshman that comes right out of Michigan?
Yeah, I mean, he's a talented guy. He flipped to UCLA. They lost their quarterback to graduation last year for Chip Kelly and those guys. So it just depends on time and situation. Caleb Williams won the Heisman Trophy as a portal transfer. He followed his coach from Oklahoma to USC. And really had a seamless transition due to system fit. You see a lot of that going on. You see it going on in the Group of 5 level. You saw it going on with Liberty last night with Jamie Chadwell and those guys beating Jacksonville State. They had their wide receiver one. He's a transfer from Coastal Carolina. Followed his coach to Liberty. So a lot of that happens. You see a lot of that, and so that's something that's not uncommon, especially now when you're immediately eligible. It used to be you couldn't follow your coach. You had to sit out a year, so you didn't see that commonly happen. But it's going to happen a lot now when you see these coaches, moving from one job to the other. There's going to be a lot of kids getting into the portal and following people. Look at Dion. I mean, he flipped, 90-something% of his roster. He took Shedeur Sanders with him. He took Shiloh with him. To Colorado. They've both made an impact. I mean, the majority of their team is completely new. They're going to end up going to a bowl game. They're not a contender this year, but they're much, much improved because they were 1-11 a year ago. And Shedeur, I mean, he's playing himself on the NFL draft boards. And, I mean, the Pac-12 is basically the quarterback conference this year. That's where all the elite quarterback play is now. Don't know about defensively, but we just talked to Josh Pate about that. I mean, the Pac-12 is so top-heavy with good teams like Oregon, Washington, USC until they get popped this weekend probably. But, I mean, even Washington State's ranked, UCLA, you just talked about them, Oregon State. The league, even though it's in its last year because basically it's disintegrating, they're going out on top because you could argue with the SEC being a little down that the Pac-12 might have the best league.
Yeah, you can definitely say that these offenses are something special, but seeing what UCL or USC is getting put up on the defensive side of the
ball.
Don't
even talk about them playing. They don't even show the effort to play defense. Our boy Jameer Muhammad, give him a shout out. He's from James Clemens High School. Jameer Muhammad. Speaking of recruiting, speaking of the portal, he was a star quarterback for Wade Waldrop in a dual threat. He moved to defense after he signed with Georgia State, became an all Sun Belt Conference linebacker, and then he was on our show. He transferred to USC because he had an opportunity after he graduated. He wanted to move on and see if he could play at a higher level to enhance his NFL opportunities. He's done that. I think he's leading Southern Cal in sacks. He's got 6. Jim Nagy from he runs the Senior Bowl. A guy he's got him on his list right now. So he definitely looks like he's an NFL prospect. And I'm really, really happy for the success he's having. But, good Lord, USC defensively, it's like a disease, man. I watched them against Arizona on Saturday night. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Now, we'll see if they can win in South Bend. I have severe doubts about it. I just don't think they're good enough defensively. But at least Jameer's getting that opportunity, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah, no, I mean, looking at these Pac-12 teams, you go down the list, and you really can't find a team except for, I would say, the Utah Utes that do actually play some defense, and obviously
it's like the Utes and UCLA.
Yeah, and UCLA even is a little bit back and forth, but I don't know. USC able to find so much success on offense that their defense really doesn't even need to show up. But thank you very much, Drew. It's great to have you on 3 days a week now, and can't wait to get you back on Friday.
Well, we appreciate it, and again, I'm happy for Jamil. He was a great kid. I had a chance to cover him, for 4 years, and he was always a well-spoken kid. And his father, Scott and I became friends with him. I believe he worked for our guy Arthur Sheaton at University Kia, and he's had a really good college career, and he made that difficult transition because he went to Vanderbilt at first, and then he transferred. He was going to be a QB, and then he made that tough transition to defense because he didn't play much defense in high school, but it was definitely the right move for him, and it just goes to show you in recruiting, a lot of it's development, and he did a nice job at Georgia State, becoming a really good player, and now he's going out to USC, a high-profile program, and hopefully he's going to be another one of our kids from the community that ends up making it like Reggie Ragland and a lot of those guys before him that have gone on to play in the NFL. And I wanted to give one more shout-out, too, and it's simply because he's a kid that played the majority of his high school career in Huntsville. But Westminster Christian Academy, former Wildcat standout, Chase McCarty. His dad, Kelly, is a big-time basketball mentor here in our community. He is now transferred to IMG for his senior year, but he played for 3 years and helped Westminster reach the state finals in 4A last year. He is going to make his commitment, guys, after your show, and my show on Friday. He's going to make it at 3 o'clock Central Time. His final 6 are Missouri, Georgia Tech, Houston, Kansas, Tennessee, and Texas Tech. Okay. So he's going to go play big-time Division I college basketball, and just wanted to give him a big shout-out on this show that we'll definitely be monitoring that, and we're looking forward to Chase making his decision and making that next step to big-time Power 5 basketball.
Exactly, and stick with 97.7 ESPN to keep up with all the recruiting news outside of all of the sporting news that we bring to you guys. But we got to hop into a break. When we come back, the recruiting does not stop after going into college. It continues, moves on to the NFL, and that's why we got to get in that talk. So that's what's coming up here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold-certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Football season and Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. The perfect combination of good times and great food. This season, score big with one of our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness. Our delicious burgers are made with premium Angus beef, and you can pair it with one of our signature cocktails or a cold craft beer from our huge selection. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway in Huntsville and our new location at Cliff Farm, Highway 72 in Madison.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Philip Love of not only Eagle Insulation, now he represents Eagle Companies. Eagle through the years have added several companies to help individuals or builders through their construction renovation process. Eagle is known to represent quality, efficiency, and professionalism. Philip, I know you do insulation, but do you do masonry?
We do.
Do you do grading, erosion control, and dirt hauled off?
We do.
Do you do afterpaint, which includes shower doors, mirrors, shelving blinds, and bath hardware?
Yes, we do, Wes.
Do you do landscaping and irrigation?
Yes, we do.
So basically, Eagle can help you all along your process of building your house or doing renovations. So do you do plumbing?
We do not, Wes, but we can find somebody to do it.
Just give them time. They'll be there. Anyway, call Eagle Insulation at
256-755-1556.
Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Call Eagle today.
Thanks, Wes.
Alumni Hall is the ultimate shopping experience for Alabama and Auburn fans. Located right here in Huntsville, come shop the best selection of officially licensed apparel, accessory, and gifts. Alumni Hall has the newest products from Nike, Under Armour, Yeti, New Era, Champion, Columbia, Southern Tide, Peter Millar, and more. And you can earn cash back with their Hall Pass rewards. Alumni Hall, located in the Bridge Street Shopping Center, or shop anytime at alumnihall.com. Alumni Hall, where fans shop. Look the part. Go to Alumni Hall.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Temperatures drop into the mid-50s as we head into the overnight, early into your Thursday morning. Not a bad Thursday morning commute across the Tennessee Valley. A partly sunny sky on Thursday afternoon. An isolated shower can't be ruled out, but it looks like the vast majority of us are going to end up staying dry. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 70s, which is seasonal for this time of year. Only dropping into the low 60s as we head into the earliest hours of Friday morning. A mostly cloudy sky on Friday afternoon. Temperatures once again climbing into the mid and upper 70s. An isolated shower certainly can't be ruled out. We'll continue that trend as we head into the weekend, but it does look like we're going to get more sunshine on Saturday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hello and welcome back, everybody. John Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside the Bandiman, Bailey Lowery.
How's it going, Captain Cool?
It's going good, Bandy. We got hockey starting up. I didn't watch any of it because there's not really any reason at the beginning, because I got to stay in this football grind set, okay? I got to stay in the football grind set. Plus, my Bruins didn't play yesterday, and they're playing tonight, and also my Arizona Coyotes are playing on Friday night against the New Jersey Devils, so should be fun.
I'm kind of with you. I caught a little bit of basketball last night, a little bit of NHL. I saw a clip where it was I think it was like a fresh draft out of the NHL draft going up against Sidney Crosby on his first ever showdown.
Oh, was that which matchup were you watching? Jeez, I don't even see it. Oh, okay, yeah. So you were talking about the one and only man, the guy that came in and who was the first round draft, and honestly, it's already Connor Bedard. Okay. Yep. Now, that guy, I mean, he's got some talent, all right? Have you seen the highlights of what he used to do back in, college and then moving forward into the other leagues that he's played in? This guy he's talented. He definitely is. He needs to get into the full swing of things quick because he had 5 shots on goal, so they're definitely trying to implement him into the game plan, that being the Blackhawks, of course.
And I'll admit it, NHL refs are probably the coolest refs in sports.
Well, they're definitely better than the NFL refs.
Definitely better. Definitely better than MLB umpires, Angel Hernandez.
True that.
But he is gone now.
You definitely, you throw, you already, talking about the refs. This all already puts me into the Chiefs versus the Vikings game, Bandy. And I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. This game came down to, it was actually a pretty interesting game to see. Obviously, Kirk Cousins is going to show out a little bit better against better competition. However, whenever the Vikings were going down the field in one of their last 2 drives, I gotta say, this is one of the worst calls. They threw like 3 penalty flags, and then there was no penalty after the fact. But Kirk Cousins, first off, gets absolutely rocked after chucking the ball, okay? So he gets hit high, he flies back, he does his whole like theatrics and stuff. The ball's up in the air. Jordan Addison can't even get to the ball because obviously he's got a defender just holding him to the ground in the end zone. So this should have obviously moved it to the 1-yard line, which should have made this game a lot closer than it actually was. But it was 27-20 the end off. And I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed in the way that it ended, but I can't be too upset because still Kirk Cousins was able to put up some good points. And I mean, although, you know, I like the NFL, I want the NFL to succeed, fantasy points also are pretty important, especially when I was playing Tom in the fantasy league.
Well, you still got the dub.
Exactly, I got the dub, so
still got the dub, yeah.
Can't be too upset. That's what I'm saying here. But moving over, one of the matchups I definitely want to talk about with RJ White, who we will have on in the next segment, is going to be this Cowboys-49ers matchup because it almost looked like the Cowboys, they're so back and forth that I don't know exactly how to, you know, pinpoint them. I think they're a really good team when they're playing up against lesser opponents, but whenever they face off against like the 49ers or they're, you know, going into a game against the Cardinals where they honestly should win, they get a little bit ahead of themselves, and this is when that defense that we think is so amazing kind of just falters. Of course, 49ers able to put up 42 points on them and making Brock Purdy look like the best quarterback in the NFL, which I will say, he's got 10 regular season wins to 0 losses. This guy is absolutely elite, and I love seeing it.
It's kind of wild because last year, my whole mentality toward Brock Purdy was, okay, guy coming in, he's playing great. He's got a lot of weapons around him.
Of course.
Let's just see. I think that might be the main reason.
Yeah.
But now going into this year, he has been the starter. Again, like you said, 10-0 in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
He's making these plays. He's not throwing like to the target. He's throwing to a spot.
Yeah, and the one thing that I like to bring up is, you know, you see Tom Brady's success, and a lot of his highlights will be a lot of those dump off passes. Like he likes to throw it short, okay, and that's the smart way to play. Honestly, you will find a lot of success that way. But the way Brock Purdy is playing is he is finding the medium to long shot wide receivers. Yeah. He's getting it to the Brandon Ayuks. He's getting it to the Deebo Samuels. He's getting it to the Juwan Jennings. And he's finding success with it because, first off, he's got a lot of pose. He's a lot of posure in the pocket, and he's able to chuck the ball down the field. And on top of that, he doesn't have to worry about his running game because, obviously, you got a Christian McCaffrey you can dump it off to at any second.
That enables him even more.
Exactly. So, I mean, he doesn't have to worry about, you know, scrambling and getting out of the pocket. Plus, he's got an amazing offensive line to obviously help him stay in that pocket. But, I mean, he was able to put up 4 touchdowns, 252 yards against the Cowboys team that we think is absolutely elite. And, obviously, they lose Diggs. It's a tough loss for them. But this defense is still stellar. You saw what they were able to do last week. They were able to shut out their opponents. And then they go up against a team like the 49ers. And this is one of the greatest rivalries in all of sports, okay? These guys went into it 19-1. They've only tied once. You look back on the history of this game. It went from the 70s with the Cowboys era, then the 80s, that was the 49ers, and then it went back to the 90s where it was kind of just back and forth that we saw success for both of these organizations. This is where a lot of the wins and the losses came from. And then you move on to now, and you still see an amazing rivalry. But this last game really just adds to the rhetoric that this 49ers team is legit and this Cowboys team is good, but their kryptonite is going to be teams like the 49ers throughout the rest of the season. I mean, Dak Prescott's going to have a rough time against any of these guys because, wow, let me tell you, Dak Prescott, he's a stellar quarterback, but, whenever he does find himself in these situations, you really do take a toll with those interceptions he's been throwing, okay? He's only thrown 5 touchdowns this season, and he's also accounted for 4 interceptions on this season. So you think about how well he has been, and it really has been the team around him that has been, showing out for him, okay? You look at Tolly Pollard, what he's doing for the team. You look at the rest of this crew, CeeDee Lamb. You see these guys really just, helping him out all they can. And then you see a Brock Purdy who's got, about the exact same type of talent on his team, but he's actually finding the success And also, he's not losing any games. And on top of that, he's not throwing that many interceptions, too.
See, I attribute that to them playing X. No, it's Playboy Cardi.
Yeah.
They play Playboy Cardi before every game. I'm gonna attribute it to that. As soon as they stop playing Playboy, that's it.
Yeah, and I mean,
they'll get that first loss.
And on top of that, I mean, one big thing that a lot of quarterbacks, if they don't find success, they need to realize this. But your tight end is literally your best friend. Okay, if you're able to get it to the T.J. Hawkinsons, if you're able to get it to the Mark Andrews, if you're able to get it to the George Kittles, you are going to find success. And that's exactly what happened in this 49ers Cowboys game, because George Kittle had 3 touchdowns in this game. He was absolutely stellar, and it didn't even take too much to get those touchdowns.
And that shirt he had on, awesome.
Oh my gosh,
fantastic.
Yep, I think most of America. I mean, we, America's team. Who's America's team truly? All right, when it comes down to it, Bandy, I don't need you to answer it because
I have no clue.
You're gonna throw out somebody.
I've got no idea.
I can't say it's my Cleveland Browns because of the way they've been.
Maybe Miami.
Miami? No.
I mean, everyone seems to like Mike McDaniel.
There's nothing really wrong with Miami, though. There's a lot of fun with the Miami team.
Yeah.
I would say it could be the Buffalo Bills, but obviously they go up against the Jaguars and drop that one.
Bills Mafia would like to have a word with you.
Oh, jeez. I don't know. I don't want to throw the Bills Mafia under the bus or throw the Bills under the bus, but I mean, even though you're playing, overseas against the Jaguars team, you still should be able to find some success, at least against this team, like the Jacksonville Jaguars. But we'll be talking to RJ here in a second about whether or not that Jaguars team is legit, obviously coming off the 2 wins, as well as a lot more to come here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
If you work in a dangerous or logistically intense industry, you know good training can be a challenge. There are training costs, safety concerns, and difficulty replicating real-world scenarios. There's a better way used right now in the Army and in all our armed services to better prepare our heroes, and it's available to you in your organizations. Higher Echelon's Game Development Team is revolutionizing learning in military training, dangerous industry, STEM, and sports performance domains with cutting-edge virtual training that immerses you in lifelike scenarios without the cost and safety concerns for trainees. With Higher Echelon's game-based training, you'll experience realistic simulations, precision accuracy, and unparalleled safety. Higher Echelon founder Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets and puts that experience to use. His team has been building cutting-edge virtual training environments for soldiers and clients for a decade. Higher Echelon, the name you can trust for advanced training solutions. Reach out at higherechelon.com to get your free consultation. Go higher and go Army.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, "If you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself."
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
With us today, Dr. Tracy Lowery of Best Vein Care of Huntsville.
When we evaluate a patient and they indeed have significant venous disease, most third-party payers, private insurance, Medicare, require us to treat every patient conservatively at least 90 days. Conservative treatment includes increasing ambulation, elevation of the legs, and the wearing of compression stockings. It's very common for folks to come see us in March or April wanting to have their veins fixed before they go into swimsuits starting in June. When we see someone in March or April, they're going to require at least 90 days of conservative treatment before we can even go to the insurance carrier to get permission to treat their veins. So if you think you have a venous problem, now is the time to come in and get a free screening so we can determine whether or not you need something evaluated. If you have a vein problem or you think you may have a vein problem, now's the time to contact us at bestveincarehuntsville.com.
Welcome Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside the Bandiman, Bailey Lowery. And we've already had a lot of fun in this episode, obviously talking with one Mr. Drew DeArmond about some recruiting news moving forward. And then on Friday, we'll talk with him again about the upcoming matchups in college football. But today is more of an NFL-centric day, and on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline is one Mr. RJ White to give us all of the intel we need to know about this week in the NFL. RJ, how are you doing today, man?
Doing good. How are you?
We're doing great. Looking forward to the matchups we get this upcoming weekend. But throughout the first 5 games, what we haven't really talked about too much is your power ranking system that you kind of go by. Kind of just tell us a little bit about that top 5 and who you're really believing in and who you're kind of not believing in as much.
Yeah, number 1, San Francisco. I think they're pretty clearly the best team in the NFL, and I don't have another team tied with them at this point because everyone else seems to have some issues that they're working through as elite as I think some of these teams are. So I have them 8 points better than an average team. What that means is that if they were to play whoever I think is an average team on a neutral field, I would favor them by 8 points in making the spread. Second is Philadelphia. I have them at 7.5. Hasn't been pretty for them at times, but they're getting the job done, still undefeated. I think their best football is yet to come, which is strange when you talk about a 5-0 team. And so I think that they have a good chance of, with their firing all cylinders, have a good chance of competing with San Francisco, maybe even beating them. That game is in Philadelphia this year, so hopefully they'll be able to win that game as somebody who has a little bit of money on them to be the 1 seed in the NFC. I have Kansas City at number 3. Kansas City has some issues with their receivers, with drops, but still have Patrick Mahomes, still have the best quarterback in the league. Travis Kelce injury is something to monitor there and see if he's going to be available. These ratings here that I'm going through are only for the week in question because we're only concerned about projecting the spread for this specific week. Yeah. So I adjust numbers up and down based on injuries too. So Kansas City might be on that Philly level if we knew Kelce was healthy, but right now I have them just a tick below. Very good defense, just need to figure out the receivers. Number 4, Buffalo, and actually a point below Kansas City, and they're kind of on the way down. Offensively, still look great. I know they struggled a bit at times in that London game, but defensively now they've lost a major player on each level of the defense between Trey White, Matt Milano, Daquan Jones. It's just that defense is going to be probably, I think, a big step back and going to have these games where they're going to be shootouts a lot of the time. So I think really look to bet Buffalo overs moving forward in most cases. And they have the quarterback, they have the talent to win those type of games. So I'm not dropping them completely down. I just think it's going to be a struggle for their defense. Number 5 right now, a half point below Buffalo because of the injury to Devon Achane is Miami. Typically wouldn't adjust for a running back. He's been so explosive and can score at any point of the field that I think you have to give him a little bit of a tick down because even if Jeff Wilson comes back, he's not giving you that same type of thing for your offense. Exactly. So still going to be solid moving forward, but I think they're just a tick below. So that's my top 5 as of now, just specifically for this week.
Gotta say, I love the science you put behind those power rankings, and one of those teams that's kind of been in and out of that top 5, kind of just all around the board, has been this Baltimore Ravens team who found little to no success against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, they had a really good defensive game, but kind of tell us what your true opinions are about this Ravens team and whether or not they're going to be able to kind of push forward and try and lead this AFC North division.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the Ravens is I've had them 3 points above average for like weeks, and I haven't moved them. No matter how good they look, they typically have been playing these backup quarterbacks. Have been like questionable circumstances where I'm not sure they're as good as what the score holds. And then they play Pittsburgh, and they lose to Pittsburgh, and it feels like vindication having them, not having moved them up, but really should have won that game easily. Dropped multiple touchdowns. Receivers just had an awful game. I think 7 drops in all. Lamar looks fantastic as a quarterback. Like he has it passing the ball right now. I think that was a lot of the question coming into the season. Really could take them as far as they want to go. They might, once they get healthy, they might be a better team than Buffalo, considering Buffalo's injuries in their defense. So I have 3 points higher right now. But we just need to see it for Baltimore against a really good opponent and a quarterback that you feel like, okay, they've finally proven themselves, and that's not going to happen this week because they're playing Tennessee in London. So it's like this just been the stretch of the best quarterback they faced is Joe Burrow in week 2, and he was very hurt for that game and hadn't looked 100% for weeks after that, and Baltimore really hasn't had a chance to prove themselves yet.
RJ White with us from Sportsline.com. One team I'm kind of interested in how you view it is the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, coming off the win against Tennessee last week, but Anthony Richardson now being placed on injured reserve. I mean, what's this team going to be looking like with Gardner Minshew kind of at the helm for this offense?
Well, when he was filling in earlier, I don't think they adjusted the offense that much, which is weird because he's a very different quarterback than Anthony Richardson. Considering he's going to be out for weeks now, I think that's going to happen. They'll have to figure out some ways to have success. They did. What Shane Steichen did last year when he filled in for Jalen Hurts. They had that first game where he started was against the Cowboys. They lost that game, but the offense scored, I think, 34 points and he looked incredible in that game against a very good defense. Next week they played the Saints. He didn't look as good. They lost that game too, but still nothing like terrible quarterback. So it seems like he's the type of quarterback that Steichen can build around and have success with. I just think it's going to be more pass centric, more traditional, more running with the running backs, and less mobility on the quarterback end. But he can make the throws. He was making some very good throws in that game. And his time so far has come against some questionable defenses maybe. And they probably didn't deserve, when he started against the Baltimore, they probably didn't deserve to win that game. Drilled 4 53-plus yard field goals in that game to take it into overtime and then win in overtime. We'll see how it is. I actually moved them up a little bit in my power rating because I had been way too low on them for the last few weeks, thinking the injuries that they've been dealing with aside from quarterback were really limiting them. They got Bernard Raymond back, I believe, at left tackle. He's been one of the better left tackles in the league. If you remember the last few years, that's been their bugaboo. It's like they couldn't replace Anthony Costanzo at all. It's been a tragedy for them at left tackle, and this guy's really stepped in and been a force there. So if they have a plus offensive line, the offense could take them pretty far, even if they have to play with a backup quarterback for 4 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, and kind of looking at the Colts as well, I just want to comment a little bit on the Jonathan Taylor obviously getting finally an extension with that team, but Zach Moss obviously coming out and having that big game last week against the Titans. But I kind of want to look at these international games so far. I mean, they've kind of been hexing on teams that have been on the rise, like the Falcons and, more surprisingly, the Buffalo Bills. But, could it be the location, or is this Jags team just actually starting to find some traction on the season?
Could be part of it. The interesting thing about the Jags is going into that Bills game. Bills were 32nd against the run in yards per rush, and the Jaguars had not been running the ball well. Offensive line had not been playing well. So it was a thing of maybe Buffalo, if they limit the passing game, they could win that game. Well, Jacksonville turned around and said, we're just going to run the ball anyway. We're just going to play to the matchups, and even though we can't run the ball well, we're going to do it. And they actually really did run the ball well with ETN having, I think, 130-something yards and really looking strong there. So if they have that element, they're improving on that end. It really is going to take some of the pressure off Trevor Lawrence because up until this point, the defense could just play the pass and not worry about the run. So that makes their defense their offense a little less one-dimensional. And then we'll see if the defense can keep it up. They were, I think, aided at times in that Buffalo game by some bad flags on both sides of the ball, really. And some fumbles. Fumble luck helped out Buffalo there. It could have been a blowout either way. Buffalo could have won based on some of these calls that happened. Yeah. So it was really just a strange game that it's hard to take a lot away from, especially considering Buffalo's 2 major injuries on the defensive side in the first quarter.
Yeah, and it kind of adds the question with your power rankings. Obviously, home field advantage is a big thing. How do you take into account these international games and place those into your power rankings as well?
Yeah, so the home field advantage is combined with my power rating to create a projected line for the week. So when we're on these neutral field games, I just make it 0. So right now, if this Baltimore-Tennessee game was happening in Tennessee, I have 1 point of home field advantage for Tennessee just based on the last 5 years, how they've related. So I would make the game 4, but because it's not in Tennessee, take away that 1 point and it's 5. I would make this game 5 for Baltimore. So that's just how that happens. I didn't really do any adjustments for Jacksonville sticking around for 2 weeks in London because we hadn't seen that before, so it's really hard to gauge how that's going to affect them. I also think Buffalo did not do themselves a service by I think they had a late flyover to England. You really want to get there earlier in the week, so that might have been part of the contribution of them coming out sluggish in that game.
Yeah, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, of course, have been there for 2 weekends in a row and now finally going back home for their next matchup. But kind of looking over at some other things that are going on in the NFL, the trade deadline is right around the corner. It's on October 31st, a.k.a. Halloween. We've already seen some moves, but what are some spooky assumptions about some of these trades we may see before then?
The interesting thing is that these trades that we're seeing tend to be these random guys that get flipped for a future 7 for a 6. plus, future 7 plus the guy for a 6. So it's hard to see like when a team's going to pull the plug on a guy and decide they want to move on. Like the Van Jefferson move kind of came out of nowhere. It was like he's on the trade block, and then all of a sudden he's on Atlanta. I don't know why Atlanta traded for him, considering they don't really throw a ton to the pass catchers they already have. So it's weird that they would spend something on adding in a new guy. So we'll see who thinks that they're contenders and they're missing a big piece there. I think there definitely will be guys available with some of these disappointing teams, with Justin Jefferson out for 4 weeks to who knows how long. The Vikings could sell a few pieces, and we'll see if teams go after there. I don't know if it's going to be the quarterback. Which contender thinks that they're going to be taken to the next level by the quarterback joining them mid-season. I'm not sure. Yeah. I think typically in those situations with quarterback trades, you're looking for a guy that is not only going to be there for that year, but probably moving forward, like Jimmy Garoppolo moving into San Francisco that year. Exactly. So we'll see if that happens, but I think it's really about fortifying the injuries that have happened for some of these teams.
Good stuff, RJ. Love talking with you about all things NFL going into every single week. Kind of let the people know where they can find your work as well as your power rankings, as well as you on social media.
At social media on Twitter and Blue Sky, I'm at RJWhite1. You can find my work at Sportsline, including my power ratings. I put my initial projected spreads out Sunday night or Sunday after the early game, and then build on that and update it as the late games are going on, so that we'll be ready for when the lines come out. You can make a move on the opening spreads there. And then I put the full power ratings out on Tuesday. It's all 32 teams where I'm rating them for this week, with some analysis of some of the key teams that have moved high, up, or down, and then projecting the spreads fully for that week. See where I think the value is.
Good stuff, RJ. Can't wait to talk with you after Week 6. Looking forward to it, man.
All right, take care.
Good stuff. RJ White, sportsline.com. His power rankings are definitely the most scientific, I would say. I love looking at them because it all makes sense in a way. I mean, even
not to me.
The international, in the international games, even it's interesting to see kind of how he rates that, because of course you get 1 point if you are a home point favorite, but if you are overseas, like the Buffalo Bills were, you're not going to have that same home field advantage, because we know that the Bills probably would have won that game. I'm going to say it. They probably would have won that game against the Jacksonville Jaguars if they were at home in Buffalo.
Hey, I'm liking to see the NFL presence overseas. Though. Like a lot more people are coming out to the games over there. Like, it's getting a lot more publicity. I mean, you saw people in Bills Mafia gear. Like, it was great.
Yeah, for sure. No, I loved seeing those fans. They really come out and they show out as well. But we got to hop into a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up today's episode of the Morning Blitz here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
The Huntsville area is one of the fastest growing areas in the United States, and with growth comes challenges. That's where the professionals at Gillette Land Development come in. If you need dirt, gravel, and sand, Gillette Land Development can provide all your hauling needs. Site preparation, Gillette Land Development can handle it. Custom home building, you guessed it, Gillette Land Development. Call Gillette Land Development today, 256-957-2111, 256-957-2111. That's Gillette Land Development, 256-957-2111.
Here's Bobby White from Woody Anderson Ford on their service department.
President's Award winner 2 years in a row. That's only given to the top 10% of Ford dealers in customer satisfaction. So we're very proud of the service department. And our body shop. If you happen to get into an accident, which not a lot of people just want to go down and see a body shop, but if you get into an accident, award-winning body shop. We have the state-of-the-art paint booths back there. They're waterborne paints that we use, friendly for the environment. We've got our production system, the way things are in and out. We have the fastest cycle rate in town of getting your vehicle in, getting your vehicle out, and assured that it's fixed right. We take pictures before it's wrecked, and not only after, but we take it as we're putting the parts on. All done to above industry standards. So I'm proud of our body shop too. Don't forget our parts department. So if you happen to need parts, performance parts, or just parts if you're a weekend mechanic.
Woody Anderson Ford, located at the corner of Jordan and Sparkman, as well as Hughes Road and Madison. You can also check out the great deals at WoodyAndersonFord.com.
The Huntsville Sports Commission is driven by you, driven by those with grit, determination, and a goal to succeed. This is why we do what we do. The Huntsville Sports Commission promotes an enhanced quality of life in the Huntsville area through sports. We work hard to make sure those who come to Huntsville to compete have all they need to be the best they can be. The Huntsville Sports Commission. We do sports. Find out more at huntsvillesports.org.
Looking for your next game day party destination? Well, think outside the box and kick back at Flow Supreme Air. And you may be thinking, isn't that the trampoline place? Of course it is. But it's also the one-stop spot for all things fun. And if kicking back with the boys to watch the game is your jam, then you're in the right spot. Jump or not, Flow tends to all ages, meaning while you sit back and watch the game, but little Jimmy's having the time of his life perfecting that front flip he most definitely wants to show you. You got this, Jimmy. So next time you think Flow, think fun for everyone.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time, or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing. We have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates. Residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Temperatures drop into the mid-50s as we head into the overnight, early into your Thursday morning. Not a bad Thursday morning commute across the Tennessee Valley. A partly sunny sky on Thursday afternoon. An isolated shower can't be ruled out, but it looks like the vast majority of us are going to end up staying dry. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 70s, which is seasonal for this time of year. Only dropping into the low 60s as we head into the earliest hours of Friday morning. A mostly cloudy sky on Friday afternoon. Temperatures once again climbing into the mid and upper 70s. An isolated shower certainly can't be ruled out. We'll continue that trend as we head into the weekend, but it does look like we're going to get more sunshine on Saturday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, this is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Join us every week for Alabama football right here.
Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
I hope you guys are looking forward to the weekend just as much as I am, and the weekend will start early because tomorrow we will have a lot of stuff going down that you guys need to know about. Of course, the Zone deals over at Cherokee Ridge is going to be one of those big things. Make sure you check out our website, the 97.7 ESPN, to find those Zone deals. And then on top of that, we're going to have some more Zone deals on a Friday. It's going to be Bubby's Diner. I'm very excited for that because that is some good food to eat. And then later in that day, we'll have some high school football. Buckhorn versus Lee. Madison Academy versus, what is this, Vinemont? I haven't even... I haven't seen Vinemont. Where's Vinemont at?
I don't know.
Okay, well, there you go. Sparkman's going to be...
I never played him in high school.
Sparkman's going to be at Bob Jones. It's going to be on Zone 4. And then Randolph's going to be playing up against the DAR, a.k.a. DAR, the Patriots, over on Zone 3. It should be a lot of fun this weekend. And then going into, of course, the weekend of college football and NFL games. We got Alabama versus Arkansas. Can't wait to see it. Alabama's like a 20-point favorite in this one. I could definitely see that happening. But KJ Jefferson at the same time in that offense will be able to push this Alabama defense to its limits. So if we do see some cracks, they will show up in this game. But those cracks need to be filled up before playing up against, of course, Tennessee the week after, and then finally Alabama will get a bye week going into that LSU matchup. And then on Sunday, the Falcons will be going up against the Commanders. Should be a very fun game. Whenever I think about these two teams, I definitely think about them kind of as the same when it comes to having new quarterbacks, having a plethora of talent, but not knowing exactly what to do with them. But I gotta say, the Falcons, adding Van Jefferson might open up this passing game a little bit more. Plus, I think that they got a steal for it because you move a little bit of spots back in the future draft. Of course, you do a little spot flip. They get a 7th round instead of a 6th. Obviously, the Rams will get that 6th round pick. It helps them out a little bit. Plus, they can get rid of a little bit of that cap space that they had with Van Jefferson. Obviously, the 27-year-old wide receiver that was drafted in 2020. Kind of ridiculous to think about. He did help this team win a Super Bowl, the Rams, of course. And maybe he'll be able to bring a little bit of that success over to this Atlanta Falcons team. I would love to see that for sure. And I know Chad would feel the exact same way. But looking through the NFL, kind of just getting my last thoughts about the week. I got to say, Packers, they're starting to look a little bit less like a powerhouse team and looking a little bit more like a team similar to the Raiders, the team that they just lost to on Monday night, where you see glimpses of potential just to be dashed. Jordan Love, obviously, he's been having a pretty stellar season, but in this game against the Raiders, throwing 3 interceptions, no touchdowns, definitely not something you want to see from your new starting quarterback. On top of that, the Bills obviously lose in London. I don't think that's going to carry over, of course. I think the Bills are going to be totally fine, but the Jaguars are getting 2 key wins across the seas, 25-20 in that matchup. And then going down the list, the Browns, going to be an interesting one, Bandy. I don't know what to really say about this team. If Deshaun Watson is not going to be cleared for this next week against the 49ers, which I highly doubt they're going to let him, if it's already a question right now, they're going to be starting P.J. Walker over DTR.
So how do you feel about that?
I don't know. P.J. Walker comes into this Browns team. He's like, okay, well, I'll help out a little bit, I guess. Oh, I actually have to start? All right, we'll do it. Okay, P.J. Walker, he's a decent quarterback, okay? He is pretty good in the NFL with the games, obviously, he played back when he was on the Panthers team. But, again, it's mainly because not a lot of people have really seen him play in the NFL. So they're going to obviously underestimate him a little bit more on that one. Titans versus Colts. Colts surprised me, okay? This team is going to be resilient, whether they've got, the quarterback that they just drafted, Anthony Richardson, at the helm, or Gardner Minshew. Both of these guys can lead teams to victory. And I think, honestly, right now, having Gardner Minshew kind of lead this team, give a little bit more reps to be seen for Anthony Richardson is going to help him out in the later half of the season. Sucks that he's got to be on the IR, but I think Michael Pittman Jr. will get more receptions with Gardner Minshew at the helm. Bandy, any games you want to look at real quick before we get out of here?
I mean, I'm watching some basketball tonight. Actually,
okay.
I mean, we got the Kings and the Lakers playing tonight, so I'm looking to see De'Aaron Fox some more, and then the Celtics and the 76ers.
All right. Well,
what is going on with James Harden?
I don't know. I literally don't know, Bandy.
I just hope it ends because I'm tired of talking about that guy.
Well, today we also have some hockey matchups to see. Canadians versus the Maple Leafs, Senators, Hurricanes, Oilers, Canucks, Jets, Flames, Blackhawks versus the Bruins, and the Avalanche versus the Kings. Should be a lot of fun. Should get us to, obviously, Thursday Night Football tomorrow. But for me and the Bandiman, we'll catch you guys in 22 hours on yet another amazing episode of the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Do you have discomfort in your leg?